Today in the SKID factory, you asked for it, we're doing a workshop tour.
This is my 2003 Suzuki Rm250 X. It's
Ow.
a custom build.
Ow!
What?
Workshop tour, dude, not about the bikes.
It's in the workshop.
Yeah, we're talking about our workshop here, man. We're not talking about the bikes.
Whose workshop? It's my workshop, fool.
Yeah, your workshop.
Bit of a backstory would probably help, I guess. This shed I had built about 13 years ago. Originally just built it because I wanted a big shed, because this is what I do. Previous to that, I was just working out of a 6x6 on the weekends, building stuff, tonners with 1UZs, and I think I did a Lancer, CB Lancer GSR with a VR4 engine actually. That was like torque steer central.
Going way back now, aren't we?
Yeah, that was a long time ago. So eventually we ended up starting the business AM Auto here, Miles and I. So we used this shed for about 18 months, I think, to run that business before we were financial enough to sort of move into a factory unit in town. And that sort of cleared the joint out after that. It was just sort of sitting here, not much going on. Still had the old hoist in here, old wonky. It was, I used to have nightmares about that bad boy, but it never fell on anyone, so that was a good thing.
Almost fell on me that night.
You probably didn't bloody operate it correctly. So anyway, yeah, I was, probably to answer another question, no, I don't work at AM Auto anymore. Miles owns the business solely now, which is mainly due to the fact that I just wanted to get out and do something different, which is what you're watching now, I guess, among other things. So having this space here, it's right next to my house, so I thought I might as well live the dream and work from home. So that's what we're doing now. Woody's not, he doesn't belong here.
Come on,
It's
dude.
not his home.
I've been here every day for the last
He just gets fed.
3-4 years, maybe?
Probably. The smell's not going away now.
No, I'm here for life.
Anyway, so that's why it's here. If you watch back from the beginning when we had the old Fairlane that we built, that was the first car we actually did. We did that full build, filmed it all before release. So that was our sort of a pilot, or I guess not a pilot. I think the Stager was probably the pilot for the SKID factory, because we did build that here originally. Yeah, you would have noticed there was only one hoist here then. That was the old wonky. Since then, I've upgraded to bend pack hoists, which are excellent. No dramas with them. Very safe, unlike old wonky. So,
and double the lift, not just one now.
Yeah, so one's forward and one's backwards, although we do sort of mix it up a bit and stick the cars on the wrong way if we feel like it. They're rated to probably double what we put on them, so it's all good. It's sort of a bit handy having one that side and one this side, so you can sort of concentrate on the fabrication stuff over there with it in backwards, and then some other sort of servicey, not servicing because I don't do that, but you know, non-full-on build stuff we might do over here on this hoist.
So Al, answer for the people. Do you need a hoist?
Well, obviously you don't need one, but it's a whole new world. Sticking a car up in the air and looking around underneath it, you can do much better work if you can see what you're doing. That's all there is to it. It's also a lot safer to pull things in and out, gearboxes, that sort of thing. Of course, to have a hoist, you generally need a shed to put it in, so it's all, it all starts from there. It needs to have the right height, which I've obviously got ample height here. But yeah, so you don't need it, but if you want to do good work, you probably do.
On the topic of good work, what are the tools, which is a question that everyone wants to know, like show us your tools. What do you use? What's your favourite tool?
Favourite tool? Spannery sockety tools wise, that is my favourite. It's a Milwaukee hand ratchet. It just works the batteries last ages. They take not very long to charge when they do run out. I've got 2 of them. So yeah, I don't know, it just does the job. I've always used air in the past. Like, I've been doing this for 20 something years, so air was the only thing. This is just so much better. There's no like hoses and shit going everywhere, bits to scratch things, and it's just got more power as well. Like as soon as your air ratchet wears out, it just makes noise and doesn't do anything, whereas these things, they just work. So that is definitely a crowd favourite. I got this thing as well with it. It's got its place, but I really barely use it because it doesn't have enough power to actually do anything sort of meaningful, like taking wheels off or anything like that. I don't know, I just don't find it. I use it. That's
where Big Bertha comes into play, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, this bad boy's for undoing stuff that's tight. That does
including
the job.
7M JZE crank pulleys.
Yeah, ate that for breakfast, mate.
I think it's another thing to note that we're actually not sponsored by Milwaukee either.
No, but Milwaukee, you can fix that. On the subject of doing the job or getting it done, been doing this for, I don't know, 20 years or something, I can't remember. I'm too old now. That's my toolbox. I got that when I was an apprentice. It's a poor old thing. It's had a very, very hard life, but for some reason the sliders still work. It opens.
They work with very much force.
No. Just that's what keeps you.
You know what my favourite thing about this toolbox
going.
is? The OG stickers.
Yeah. Look at this one here.
What's in the bottom drawer?
Hammers.
Hammers? So all these tools, they're not from your apprenticeship days, are they?
Oh, some of them are, yeah.
Yeah?
So tools-wise, I'm not a tool snob. I don't really give a shit what the tools are or what brand they are, as long as they undo bolts, because the only tool that really matters is your brain. If you don't know what you're doing, it doesn't matter what brand tools you got, you're not going to be able to do it properly. So it's just all junk.
It's not junk,
And
man.
some
They're
of
good
them
tools.
I've got like 12 of the same spanner for some reason, but
What's that bendy one there?
whatever. Oh, that's like, isn't that modified to do up your GT40 on the Cressida?
Sure is.
Yeah. So it's kind of handy to have like 4 or 5 of each spanner so you can bend them and cut them and shorten them and stuff so you can get stuff done up. This is just still the same thing, just junk. Like sockets, are probably 10mm sockets, dude. You just go through them. They just get lost. So breaking tools has not ever really been a thing for me. If you use them right, they won't break. Most of the stuff's good, like reasonable quality. They just get lost. If you're using them day in, day out, it's just a thing. Like they just can go missing if you're pulling cars apart. If you're not a mechanic, you probably don't understand how deeply you go into pulling vehicles to bits. There can be like a billion bits all over the ground trying to pull a modern car apart, and sometimes things go missing. So most of the time you just got to buy new ones. So that's where you end up with all just random junk. But like I said, as long as it undoes the bolt, I don't care what brand it is. I probably should get a new toolbox one day though, because it is a little bit tired.
A little bit, you say?
I have repaired it here. It's got a new beam underneath there because it caved in years ago. But
And what's this other toolbox over here for? The other red one, which is also from your apprentice days.
that's actually Miles's apprentice toolbox.
No way. Thanks, Stinton.
He upgraded to a proper toolbox, a big one. And I brought that home just to put all my electrical stuff in, actually. So that's just all electrical tools, just to separate things.
And a few comments, people were asking what were in these containers. These containers are full of random bits and bobs.
Bolts, nuts, washers, all different sizes. Got to have it if you're doing this sort of thing. If you're just pulling something apart and putting it back together exactly the same way. Yeah, you probably don't really need a collection of bolts, but we never do that. So years and years of buying half cuts and junk and pulling them apart, we always collected every single bolt, and push clip, everything.
You need a bit of a top up in some of the departments, don't you?
Oh, yeah, usually use the same stuff over and over again.
Maybe we should go see Chris at Rising Sun. Go and raise some...
I reckon he should just do it for me and then drop them off with a carton of lemon squash.
Give us a call, Chris. On the topic of toolboxes, I suppose now it's time to show off my fancy thing.
It looks like a Gen Y kid toolbox.
Not really that Gen Y.
Look how fancy it is.
I'm not Klopfy with a $30,000 snap-on toolbox, man.
I would have Coffee's toolbox.
I would have it too. This thing is pretty cool. I bought this when I was working for Oldcock at Noosa Radiators. I had something similar to this old thing through my apprenticeship days, which I've still got at home. Still great tools. You can use them all day, every day. Nothing wrong with them. I bought this more so for the bench space.
So you could put stickers on it?
Not the stickers. Oh, how cool are the stickers? How cool is my new Yamundi 4x4 sticker? Thanks, boys.
Cool story, bro.
So this thing just came, I think this was like $2,000 or $2,200 back in the day. It had every tool in the foam inserts and there's lots of space. So I've got sockets, spanners, pliers.
I am a fan of the foam insert.
Screwdrivers. The best thing about that is you know when you're missing something.
Yeah, where are those ones going?
14mm, 9/16. I think you've got that one somewhere. The 12mm.
That was the one I chopped up to do that turbo
The
up.
12mm is one of your old ones because I lost mine somewhere. The 10mm is a repo, super cheap one because 10mm, obviously. These, I like to keep these little silica gel things in here. That's probably absorbed all of the moisture, but they are handy. When you live on the sunny coast, hey man, I'm giving some advice. When you live on the sunny coast, there's moisture everywhere and everything rusts.
Everything
Imperial.
gets moist around you.
Actually, I'm going to give a shout out to my mate Saxon. I don't know if you watch his stuff, but remember those snap-on Imperial sockets you gave me a while back? It's the only snap-on thing I own, and it's the stuff that you would never use, Imperial deep sockets.
What about these tools here?
So we've got, these tools.
They look my favourite, them ones.
That'll be getting used one day soon. What about this?
Old school.
What about this here? Hang on. Tell us.
That's mine, you chutch.
Sorry about those injectors. Tell us what this is from.
That is mine.
OG Momo.
Yeah, that's probably worth heaps now.
Maybe it is.
Apparently those aluminium oil filler necks that we used on the Nova are worth a heap of money. Yep. Which I find
$200, I think someone
ridiculous
said,
because why would it be? But anyway.
So going down, I've just got a little drawer for camera stuff. So camera equipment was another thing people asked me about. This is an old lens, 18 by 135 STM. This thing is shot. This has had grinding sparks covered in it.
That was the first lesson that Rodriguez learnt.
Well, no, this is Marty's old lens actually. He gave it to me. It was already trash. I got the second-hand lens because I'm an amateur. I'm not going to lie about that. The lens that I'm currently using now is the same lens, but it is a USM, so just the updated version. Apparently it's more smoother. They're a great lens. Great zoom for inside here and enough wide when you're fully zoomed out to capture everything. So don't zoom in my face, come on, man. GoPros, I use quite a few GoPros. These little bad boys are my favourite, little Sessions. They are responsible for all the shots that you see with inlet manifolds and
Have you got any left? Because didn't we leave them inside the engine?
I think there was like 6 left inside the Nova, I think it was, yeah.
The good thing is they do drain out once they get bashed to pieces.
Yeah,
you just got to get the oil hot enough.
They do. I have got a drone, which is a Dji Spark. This thing is very handy for
flying around my head when I'm welding.
Flying around your head when you're welding to disturb all the gas flow.
Yeah.
These things are great. Pocket size, literally pocket size. I could probably fit that in my pocket if I wanted to.
Only if you had baggy pockets.
And look, I use this thing for everything. I use it for filming surfing, when I'm out on my boat fishing. They're also just fun to play with, man. It's like Christmas Day when you get a Christmas Day toy.
Isn't that mine as well?
This is ours.
I'm pretty sure that it was given
Keyword
to me as
ours.
well, but I've never seen it.
Yeah. What else have I got here? This is my organisation of junk drawer. You never believe how much you use this kind of stuff. It's crazy. Aircon fittings. Yeah.
You don't use any of it. You don't do anything.
Hey?
Nothing. Nothing. What's in that one?
You know what's in here. This is the secret stash. I feel like a lemon squash now, eh?
What time is it?
I think like... It's actually time for a lemon squash.
Lemon squash o'clock.
It's after 4.
Come over and have a look at these welders and stuff. I've got a bit of a different setup with this welding and fab table. It's basically, I've put it on wheels so we can move it around. That was originally done because I didn't really know where I wanted to put it or where it would be practical, so I just sort of made it mobile. And occasionally, if you get a big car that you've got to put in here, we do have to like push it aside so we can swing it in there. Probably like the Fairlane or something like that, a big long nugget of a thing like that. It's pretty handy. You can move it around and clean underneath it and stuff too. Because like welding fabrication tables get covered in crap, as it still is. So just being able to move it around a bit helps to get underneath it and clean things up. So that's why it's like that. Welder.
Welders. Nugget.
That is a big old Miller 3-phase TIG. It is kind of like a welding yachts together type thing. It works great. It is old school though. Like it's not it's so big because it's not inverter like everything is now. So that size welder would be a quarter the size these days. Just the way the power supplies work on them. Works great.
MIG.
That is a really good MIG. It looks like a bit of a toy, but it's actually perfect for this size workshop and for what I do. I don't weld heavy gauge stuff together. It's mostly just exhaust work. Wouldn't be any bigger than 10 mil most of the time, thickness. So yeah, Unimig razor weld. It's a couple of years old, so it's probably been superseded a few times, but I've had a few Unimig. I've had a Unimig TIG as well. That stuff works really good.
You can TIG on that thing, can't you? Is there not functions on that one?
No, not that one. You can get a 3-way one that you can use as a TIG, but it's only a DC TIG. So
yep.
You can only do like ferrous metal with it.
Yep.
This is a good bit of gear. If you've got the space and you're doing metal fab, get one of these. It's very good. The best thing about this is it's quiet, which is a thing for me because I'm obviously at my home. I don't want to upset people. It doesn't use a consumable cutting material. So I used to use drop saws, but in the process of cutting the metal, you're also wasting the cutting disc. And not only does that make a massive mess, but it also costs money. Like you got to keep putting cutting discs in them all the time. Especially when you're doing large, like if you're cutting 4-inch exhaust pipe or stainless or whatever, you don't get much cut in it before you have to take it out and put a new one in, because once it gets below 4 inches, you can't cut it anymore. So this thing, I went for a year on one saw blade, and I only changed it because I felt guilty that I probably should have done it earlier. It still worked. So you got to clean it. I get my kids to do that. They do a crappy job, and then I do it again for them. But otherwise, it's awesome. Once you get used to it, it's not instantaneous. So for like Woody, he would probably like get bored and go and check his Instagram because it's not fast enough. But you just sort of work out your cut, stick it in there, and then just go and sort of prepare the next thing you got to do. Come back and get it, and you get used to it pretty quick. So yeah, that is a good thing. The only thing I would like Other than that is an upright, so you can do upright cuts, but they sort of tend to be twice as expensive as this to get a decent one with a wide sort of cut on it. So I make do with that for the moment. This bad boy I got off my mate Dave. It's been through a few people because no one had 3-phase. I do, so I ended up with it. It's old and worn out, but it does what we need to do. It's like a 1980 model. Was a good unit, but it's obviously had a hard life, so I don't use it for anything precise. I just use it to make standoffs and weld-ons and stuff like that. So very handy. Probably don't need it, but it's good to have. Back to the bench. Got a few things mounted on the bench. Obviously a vise, offset vise, good thing. You can do a lot more with an offset vise without annoying the shit out of yourself. The only trouble is sometimes you need the offset to be the other side, but you either have one of each or you put up with it. This thing is for anyone who does anything on a car, buy one of these. This thing is amazing. This is an Abbott and Ashby brand, which is Australian, I think. The Linisher. Don't ever buy a grinder with a stupid old stone wheel on it. They're absolutely useless. This thing is awesome. So obviously it's got rubber on the ends, so you can sort of, it sort of gives you that, it allows you to mould things a little bit better when you're working with them. Cannot recommend enough. Best thing to have. Obviously a buff and wheels, like a Y wheel's a good thing as well, just to clean up rusty stuff. But get one for Christmas. Good thing. Drill press, basic stuff. It's not the greatest, but it works. It's all price pointed. There's so much stuff that you can buy that you have to realise that you have to spend more money if you want it to be better. That's just how it is. So I spent a reasonable amount, but I'd probably get like a mill drill next time, so you can do a bit more with it, and it's sort of a bit more sturdy, but it does the job. This is one of my other favourites, flattening off flanges. It's actually a really good thing, and it's not that expensive. You got to go through a few belts and stuff depending on what size flange you're using and how badly you've warped it, but just to dress things off and flatten off pipes after you've cut them and deburr them and stuff like that. It is a really good tool. It's up there with that. Obviously, I'd start with that if you were just sort of buying stuff for your home workshop. This is probably a bit more if you were doing it, getting a little bit more serious. But that's a really good thing. Highly recommended. One thing I glossed over because it was hidden under the bench and I don't actually use it that much is the plasma cutter. That's a pretty affordable tool as well. It's a Magmate brand, which is Italian, I think. Works great. This one's got an internal air supply, so up to 20 amps or whatever it just uses internal. I've never used more than that. It's great for cutting off diff brackets and just complicated stuff that's going all different directions that you would otherwise have to spend a lot of time with a like a cut-off wheel. So that's a good thing. Again, that's probably getting up there. I honestly don't use it that much, and I'm doing a lot of stupid things with cars. So, but yeah, it's a good thing. If you're a panel beater or doing a bit of body work, it's also a good thing for that.
It's also fun to use, I think.
Well, everyone likes holding metal lance in their hand. I could cut that off with this thing. I would probably regret it, but I could. Air compressor is probably something that most guys will want, or girls, in their workshop. You've got to spend reasonable money on an air compressor, otherwise you will be disappointed, as I am. I won't say what that is, but it's not good.
Bigger is better, Alan.
Yeah, like the problem that we have here is it's hot, and that gets hot, and then there's thermal cutout problems all the time. If you're doing die grinding and stuff like that, that's really heavy on air consumption. I don't actually use air for anything except for die grinders and an air blower anymore because everything is electric now. So that's good, because if I was using it for air tools, it would probably drive me mental. But yeah, look for quality, because if you're using air volume, as in like a rattle gun doesn't use much volume, a die grinder uses tons of it. That's when you're going to have problems with it. So again, probably one of the things that I would spend a bit more money on, or be annoyed at it like I am. If you're messing around with cars, and especially doing a project where you're pulling a car apart and doing a rebuild, storage is a big thing. This stuff's great. It is expensive, but if you want to put heavy weight onto anything, this is good. You can put engines and stuff on top of that if you've got the right grade board on it. It's very strong. Normally you anchor it to the wall, no dramas. I've actually made all my own shelving out of, it's obviously it's not built to handle weight, it's just to house parts and stuff like that. I've got mates that fold things for me, thanks Matt. So I just made them myself, and that's also a way to do it. If you can do it with timber, or well, if you're handy with that, whatever. Just storage is good, but keep yourself under control and don't keep junk like I have. There's a whole car there that we might get to one day.
One day.
One day. And there's its engine that we might get to one day.
Very soon.
And in the meantime, we might play around with this 7MJZE and fit it to the most luxurious car in the world.
No one's guessed what it is yet. I found out what it is.
I don't think they will guess, because luxury is in the eye of the beholder.
I don't know. Yeah, that's very true. That is very true.
Engine stands, obviously, cheap stuff, handy. Jacks aren't cheap if you want one that works. You have to spend a bit of money on them, especially if it's aluminium, which is a good thing if you don't want to hurt your feeble back like Rodriguez and I have. Engine cranes outside, everyone needs one of them if they're going to do stuff, obviously. They're usually pretty good. If you only need a ridiculously big one if you're lifting stupid heavy engines like Cummins or bloody TD42s or whatever. Otherwise you can go for the smaller stuff. Readily available. They mostly just work, so I think that just about covers it. If you got any other questions?
I got a question for you.
What?
There's no Nova here, but there's still some dirty old orange thing in the corner.
I heard that these were special engines.
You can tell by the casting triangles on the block.
It's got a triangle on it. Must be good. You probably should come and get that, Cam, hey? Otherwise I'm going to dump it on your front lawn.
You've been Gen 1 Chevied.
Gen 1 Chevys are actually the best Chevy.
You reckon?
No.
That should cover everything here at the SKID factory. If there's anything that we've missed, hit us on the Facebook page.
Thanks for watching. This is my 2003 Suzuki Rm250 X. This was custom built by Millsy, and I acquired it off him. It is a 250cc two-stroke. It's been built as an enduro bike, so it's got all the suspension's been rebuilt for enduro purposes rather than motocross. It is a registered bike. It is built on a hybrid of an Rm250, RMX250, which is the registered version of this bike. I've crashed it into lots of stuff. I bent it pretty badly last week, so I just got to get some new bars for it. The throttle is very whisky, so if you make a mistake, it does not forgive. It's good fun. You should get one.